back all across the United States. We are watching one system right now to the north, and that's going to be bringing a lot of active weather through the Great Lakes as well as Chicago. Now, the cold front is going to be bringing some cooler weather behind it. So for Chicago, we are going to be seeing about 21 degrees on Wednesday, and that is going to drop down to about 16 degrees as we go towards Thursday. A lot of rain down towards the south for Atlanta as well as Miami. Those afternoon thunderstorms could be quite intense at times, and then for New York, they could be breaking out to the mid-20s there as well. We're making our way down towards Mexico. We are watching an area of low pressure off the coast of Mexico out here towards the west. Now, we do think the storm is going to actually increase in intensity, bring some very heavy rain showers across the region. For the southern part of Mexico, you have already seen flooding this year, so the rain here is only going to enhance the flooding as well. And that rain is also going to go to parts of Acapulco as well as Manzanillo over the next couple of days. We could see some localized flooding there. And over towards Europe, a lot of active weather down towards the central Mediterranean. Now, this system is making its way across Italy, also now pushing out towards parts of Greece over the next couple of days. We do think we're going to be seeing some active storms, thunderstorms, as well as hail there. The winds could also be quite risky at times. For Athens, we are going to be seeing about 28 degrees, and as we go towards Thursday, better weather there with clearing conditions.
This week of Surprising Europe, we'll travel to Paris to see how African migrants are raising their voices against injustice. In Italy, Africans unite to improve poor living conditions, the result of anti-migrant movements. And in London, we go undercover to reveal how undocumented migrants find their way around the legal system. Taking action, Surprising Europe, at this time on Al Jazeera.
Welcome back. The top story is here on Al Jazeera. The IMF has slashed its growth projections for the U.S. and Eurozone, warning that the global economy is entering a dangerous new phase. Greece desperately needs $11 billion to avoid defaulting on its debt. Former Afghan President Burhanuddin Rabbani has been killed in a suicide attack. Rabbani was negotiating with the Taliban on behalf of the government. The Taliban has claimed responsibility, saying it gained Rabbani's trust to kill him. Israel's finance minister has threatened to withhold tax money collected on behalf of the Palestinian Authority. That's if Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas pushes ahead with his bid for statehood at the UN. U.S. President Barack Obama is set to meet with Abbas over the bid on Wednesday. Well, police in Mexico have found as many as 35 bodies in the country's southeast. The remains were found in 2 abandoned trucks on a highway underpass in the city of Veracruz. The state prosecutor says the victims were involved in organized crime. Well, let's get the very latest from Frank Contreras, who is in Veracruz. Frank, what's going on?
Well, I'm speaking to you live from nearby where the bodies were located, and witnesses are telling police investigators now, Shaq, that at least 35 bodies were found. They saw armed gunmen aboard 6 vehicles escorting 2 trucks, cargo trucks carrying the dead bodies. The bodies were then dumped on a major thoroughfare here. It's believed that the governor of the state of Veracruz was in the vicinity when this occurred, and so there's speculation this may have been an attempt to send a very strong message to the governor that he should back off from trying to fight organized crime. This is a place where drug-related violence has been raging. Gun battles are a regular occurrence, witnesses are telling Al Jazeera tonight. And we're also told that the bodies were seen with their hands tied behind their backs in some cases. Bodies were tortured, and 35 bodies were certainly found, but police think they found body parts. That's cut-up body parts of other victims as well at the crime scene.
A very gruesome find. Thanks very much, Frank. Frank Contreras there in Veracruz. Well, Libya's interim prime minister has announced that he expects a new government to be formed within days. That's after the National Transitional Council received a warm welcome from UN delegates in New York. U.S. President Barack Obama was among the international leaders who welcomed the new Libyan representation. Mike Hanna has more.
It was exactly 7 months ago that Mustafa Abdel Jalil resigned from the Gaddafi cabinet, Now he's the recognized leader of an interim government, and the flag of the old Libyan kingdom as a symbol of a post-Gaddafi state is welcomed into the UN.
We thank you very much for your support. We thank you for holding this important meeting. We greet all those countries that have supported us in our crisis, a support that the Libyan people will forever remember. Peace be upon you all.
And the pledge that support will continue.
And we've come here today to say to the people of Libya, just as the world stood by you in your struggle to be free, we will now stand with you in your struggle to realize the peace and prosperity that freedom can bring.
The key moment for the new Libya, though, came a few days ago when the United Nations decided to recognize the National Transitional Council as legitimate authority with the right to take the country's seat. It was only 2 years ago that Muammar Gaddafi held center stage at the United Nations. Now he's in hiding, while pockets of his remaining supporters continue to resist what the UN regards as the new administration in charge.
And they still constitute a threat towards the population, and this is the reason why we will roll over, we will extend our operation, but continuously review it and terminate it as soon as the situation allows.
The struggle is not over yet, but one part of the journey has been completed. The old flag of the new Libya flying alongside those of other nations on 1st Avenue in Manhattan. Mike Hanna, ALJAZEERA at the United Nations in New York.
The US and Turkey have agreed to put more pressure on Syria to end its crackdown on anti-government demonstrations. The United Nations says more than 2,700 people, including 100 children, have been killed since protests began in March. The Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has implemented some reforms, but opposition groups want him to stand down. Yemeni government forces and troops loyal to a dissident general have agreed to a ceasefire after 3 days of violence, but some witnesses in the capital, Sana'a, reported renewed shelling on Tuesday night. Dozens of people have been killed since Sunday, including many anti-government protesters. Richard Martin looks now at the background to the crisis in Yemen.
As the demonstrators continue to face down a deadly assault from government forces in Yemen, the eyes of the world are increasingly focused on the country sitting in a key strategic position. Below it, a vital waterway between the Suez Canal and the Indian Ocean. Above it, Saudi Arabia, the 1,800-kilometer desert border between the two countries regularly crossed by smugglers carrying explosives, weapons and illegal drugs. Saudi Arabia blames fighters from Yemen for attacks in Riyadh, attacks like the compound bombings in 2003, which left 35 people dead, more than 100 injured. The United States is hunting down this man, Anwar al-Awlaki, a senior al-Qaeda leader thought to be working out of Yemen, a man who the current Yemeni authorities want captured dead or alive. Add to that extreme poverty and a lack of education in a country which has rarely known peace, and the safe bet has until recently been for the international community to back Yemeni strongman Ali Abdullah Saleh. That bet is now off. At worst, the fear is that Yemen will descend into civil war. At best, world leaders are looking at a rough passage to some kind of democracy. Complex tribal divisions and feuds backed by huge stockpiles of weapons have always made parts of Yemen a no-go zone for outsiders, even the army. The key aim is to stop those groups extending their range of operations outside Yemen. To that end, it's thought that even elements in the leadership of Saudi Arabia are still dealing with senior figures within Ali Abdullah Saleh's government.
In order to maintain their influence, they don't welcome any kind of radical change in Yemen that will bring kind of unexpected government. But this is kind of has kind of historical roots within the Yemeni-Saudi relations for the last few decades.
President Saleh has been in power for 33 years. He's now in Saudi Arabia receiving medical treatment after a rocket attack on his compound in Sana'a. Do you think he'll return? But whoever comes to replace him faces almost insurmountable challenges in security and in the economy. Yemen is broken and broke. It's the urgent priority of its neighbors and the US, will we just stop it becoming another Somalia, another failed state. Richard Martin, ALJAZEERA.
9 cases of polio have been confirmed in China, the first in 12 years. The World Health Organization says the outbreak in Xinjiang province is genetically linked to the current strain in Pakistan. The UN agency is warning the virus could travel further during the annual Hajj pilgrimage. It's thought that polio has spread in Pakistan after security concerns forced the closure of vaccination programs in tribal regions. Also in China, emergency services are trying to reach people trapped by severe flooding. At least 14 people have been killed following days of torrential rain, and more than 1 million have been displaced across the regions of Henan, Shanxi and Sichuan in the last month. Typhoon Roke is bringing heavy rains and the risk of mudslides and flooding to Japan. 3 people have died and 2 others are missing. 1.2 million people in central and western Japan are affected, and tens of thousands have been told to leave their homes. Ivory Coast striker Didier Drogba is urging his country to unite after the post-election crisis. His call comes as Ivorians prepare to vote again in December, this time for parliamentary polls. The Chelsea star has joined a Truth, Reconciliation and Dialogue Commission to encourage unity. But there's been more unrest near the Liberian border. The latest incident took place near the town of Tai. Recent attacks by forces are reportedly loyal to the ousted President Laurent Gbagbo have left at least 23 people dead. Polls are closed in Zambia's national elections, but the official results won't be known for another 24 hours. Crowds chanting, "We want change," surrounded the opposition candidate Michael Sata and burnt electoral papers. They were angry that a polling station opened late. Sata is facing up against pro-business president Rupia Banda. According to the United Nations, Kathmandu is the last place you'd want to be during an earthquake. Built on a layer of soft soil, the city is extremely vulnerable to seismic tremors. But as Sabina Shrestha reports, many are worried about the buildings being constructed without proper safety planning across the Nepalese capital.
A collapsed wall in Kathmandu. On Sunday evening, 3 people died here when a 6.8 magnitude earthquake struck 300 kilometers away. Here the shaking was only mild, yet houses, roads and buildings were damaged. Kathmandu is perched on a one-time lake bed with soft, deep soil. The UN has ranked Nepal as the 11th most earthquake-prone country in the world, and in such an event, Kathmandu is considered the riskiest city in the world for casualties. Despite the imminent dangers, the city has been growing without any plan or proper design.
In the city's core areas, these sites are common. Tall, narrow buildings with cantilever extensions that's supporting 3 or 4 stories. A strong earthquake could bring these structures down like a stack of cards.
If a stronger earthquake struck nearby, experts fear that 100,000 people could be killed and another 300,000 would be critically injured or need hospital treatment.
Our assumption is that for several weeks the Kathmandu Valley will be cut off in terms of road access, and that most of the assistance that has to come from outside will have to come by air, which obviously really limits the amount that can be moved.
Arnold Manidikshit runs the National Society for Earthquake Technology.
Not less than 60% of the houses are going to be damaged beyond repair. Means you need to provide shelter to the surviving people. So, in terms of homelessness, we are going to have about 1.5 million people within this valley.
Most of the hospitals and schools are unsafe, and a big tremor could come at any time. Since 1255 AD, every 75 years or so, the city was destroyed because of a major earthquake. The last big one was 1934. But despite the risk, there has been little planning nor implementation of the building codes.
We have been encouraging the local people to follow the building code. We have, instructed the concerned agencies, government agencies, to enforce the building code. Those buildings which are already erected or constructed, it is very difficult or very costly for the retrofittation.
And while the building standards are unenforced, many people question the safety of the towers that are going up all over Kathmandu. In an earthquake, some doubt whether the lake-bed soil will be firm enough to hold them in place. Sabina Shrestha, ALJAZEERA, Kathmandu.
This is Al Jazeera, and these are the stories making headlines.